Hey there, it's me, Lottie, and today we're going to take a closer look at the adoptee memoir, Who Am I Really?, written by Damon Davis. I have been a fan of the Who Am I Really podcast for about the last 2 years. It was created by Damon Davis, an adoptee, and is devoted to adoptees given the space to tell their stories, their attempts at reunion or finding their biological family. So it really made me want to read his memoir. I've had it for a while. It took me a while to get to it because, I have a tendency to stockpile books. But I finally finished it. And let me just tell you a little bit about it. So Damon L. Davis was born in and adopted in Baltimore, Maryland, and grew up well-adjusted in Columbia, Maryland. He's the host and producer of the Who Am I Really podcast, where adoptees tell their own stories of adoption and share experiences about their attempts at reunion with their birth families. Damon is a graduate of Hampton University and Loyola University, Maryland. So he focuses his book around this question of who am I really? Which definitely is something that I think comes up for a lot of people in general, but adoptees in particular. So through this book, he's sharing his journey, his life story. It's pretty straightforward, chronologically arranged in talking about his upbringing, his adoptive parents, and then it goes into his search for his biological mother, and a bit later, his biological father. He shares a lot of the things that, the circumstances and events in his life that really impacted him, from his adoptive parents getting divorced, his mother's subsequent mental illness, very debilitating mental illness that fractured their relationship. He speaks openly about the expansion of his own family once he got married, and there were some family members whose children were in need of a different household to finish their childhood and growing up. So Damon and his wife adopted these, like that would be a kinship adoption where they adopted family members and their own birth of their own son later on in their life. Okay, with the birth of his son, which is a turning point for a lot of adoptees in really realizing your disconnect from your biology. I just had this conversation the other day with my own son and told him until I found some of my biological family members that him and his sister were literally, my only biological relatives. And I remember when they were born, really thinking about that a lot. And that may have been one of the things that embedded that seed for me to do my search later in life, even though I'm still very much in that search. But yeah, the birth of his son was really what started that introspection about the search. So he enlists the help of the kinds of services that can help you track down, like through the adoption agency where he was placed, or connections through that agency to track down his birth mother, who really was happy to have been, connected to him again. And they had a beautiful, albeit short, relationship, and later finding his father. So I really enjoyed this book a lot. Now, it is, like I said, it's a very straightforward memoir. And what I mean by that is it's a first-person narrative account of his experiences. It is not written as a complex timeline of back and forths, and you know, it doesn't include a lot of um, the social impacts or the setup of the institution of adoption or any of the socio-political issues that are going on at that time. Although he does speak to the racial makeup of his neighborhood growing up and how that began to have him explore a few things around racial identity and influenced his choice to later go to a historically Black college and university. So there is a little bit of that, but otherwise it's a very straightforward first person narrative. Like, this is who I am, this is when I was born, this is what happened, and so on. And that's fine. That's fine. The voice of this book is very optimistic. I feel like even though the author was going through some really difficult things in his life, he had this way about him. He describes himself as an easygoing person. And some people just have that, that's just the way that they're made, you know, that they tend to look to the bright side or take certain things in stride, or maybe he just doesn't, maybe he chooses not to share some of the deeper, darker, more intense emotions and turbulence that may have gone with some of these scenarios. But I will say, overall, I feel like it is a brave and optimistic story. I loved that he put examples of the letters. He crafted these letters to his birth mother and his potential birth father. And I felt like they were good. I don't want to say templates, but they were definitely, I think, good for you to consider in how you might approach you know, reaching out to a biological relative that you don't know. I felt like they were good examples. He got me motivated to do some more stuff. It really did get me motivated to take some next steps in my own journey. So for that, I am very appreciative. And like I said, I think it was brave. I think it was optimistic. I think he was vulnerable and transparent in a lot of places. And I just really appreciate that he took the time to write his story. And if you have not checked out the podcast, Who Am I Really? If you're an adoptee that is looking to learn more about just other people's adoption experiences and how they've gone about locating biological family, then you may, you know, really appreciate his podcast. He has a definite knack for interviewing and listening, allowing people to tell their full story. I really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars as a review, although I really have trouble with ranking memoirs because I feel like it's your story to be told the way you want to tell it. But I still thought, you know, from a writing perspective that it was well done. And so I would recommend this book, Who Am I Really by Damon Davis. So I hope you'll decide to check that out and add it to your adoptee literature shelf. If you like content like this, then like this video, please. Share it and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to make this kind of content. And I hope that you're having a wonderful day. I hope that you're healthy, happy. And until I see you in the next video, take care.